Okay, and I thought that since tonight's talk is last talk of this retreat, I'd be giving a talk like an introduction to meditation. It may seem a little bit strange and funny, but I think that it actually can be understood much better done now than at the beginning. Of course, you've been meditating for hundreds of years, so you already know about these things, but I will do it anyway. Hopefully be some help, for everyone involved. Now, of course, we are talking about this specific kind of meditation in this tradition, but we do not need to be so strict about things, but just to make clear. So, it's important to understand meditation within the whole context of the Buddhist teachings. Because when meditation techniques, are taken out of their context, usually they end up as being some sort of very nice and useful relaxation technique. So that's not a problem in itself. We are very, very happy that they are useful and helpful, and they do work. It's what could become a little bit of a problem. It goes something like this. I don't have much experience meditating. I come to a retreat, or maybe I meditate by myself someplace. And after a while, it actually happens, the mind sort of becomes more quiet. And that can become, it becomes more quiet usually when I've never meditated, and start meditation. It's a very new experience, okay? So, mind becomes more quiet. We like it, and becomes very quiet to the point where, sloth and torpor come up. We get sleepy. We like it. We fall asleep. We like it even better. So in our minds we get these very strange contexts, like meditation works when the mind gets really quiet to the point of being sleepy. Change of scene, more practice, maybe a few retreats. After a while, it may happen that the mind does get more collected, concentrated. But it doesn't get as sleepy as it used to be. Or maybe not for as long. We don't like that as much, especially in the beginning. So we get this very strange idea. Like, if my mind gets quiet and sleepy, meditation is going great. Fantastic. Wonderful results. If by any chance my mind doesn't get as quiet and as sleepy as it used to be, there must be something wrong in my practice. Ever seen that movie? It does happen. It's quite common. It is not true, of course, but we get this very strange idea that, we get this sort of equation in the mind, Mind quiet to the point of sleepiness, meditation is working. Mind not as quiet, there must be something wrong. Of course it is not like that. We have to keep that in mind. So I feel it's much more helpful to look at meditation as a form of education. We are actually educating the mind to do new things. new and interesting things. So we actually are training those potentials which are within the mind to grow bigger and stronger and come up. Those potentials are there for everyone. No one excluded, you know. This is like possible for everybody, unless there are some real big problems, but that's not our cases here. Not here. So in meditation, we don't want to have this idea that we have to gain a particular mental state. Quiet, for example, and protect it, you know, and prevent it from disappearing. That's not the aim of meditation. We do not want a particular mental state. And when that comes up because we like it, like being more quiet, we have to watch out for, you know, anything that destroys it. Because, believe me, it will pass anyway. Let's be clear about this. What meditation can do is that it allows us to enter in a state of mind which is stable, more stable than usual, bright and clear, and gives us a feeling of safety. Okay, so far? So far, so good, huh? One in which we can look at the mind more clearly and develop some very important life skills. So we do develop a state of mind which is more collected, more concentrated. And being quiet is part of it, but it's not the whole story, you know, basically. You know? And this collected state of mind makes us feel safe. It is safe in us for us to explore what is inside. Okay? That's the idea. So, I really don't think it would be possible to develop these skills without this looking inside and giving time to this process of inner educational training. It takes time. We need time. That's why we come on retreat, for example. So, you all know about this, but I'm giving this talk. So, when we give the mind some work to do, let's say to be aware of an object like the breathing or the feeling touching points, then by that intention to restrict our attention to one particular object, everything else that's going on in our minds becomes revealed as being not what we are trying to do. I mean, of course, this is going on all the time, but now we have this, we create this sort of very useful duality, let's call it like that. I'm telling the mind, hey, try and be with the breathing, okay? The mind says, yeah, right, no problem. A couple of seconds, then guess what? All hell breaks loose. Like, what is going on? I never noticed all this stuff, you know. I wonder where does this come from? I guess it's always been there. You've never been aware of it, you know. It's not coming from some other place. It's always been there, and you didn't know. Wow, what a discovery! That makes you think, you know. There's so much stuff there And I didn't realize that. Wow, that's food for thought. And I mean, it's sort of funny, but let's try and be serious for a couple of seconds. I said that by choosing to focus on one thing, breathing, feeling, touching, whatever, everything else which is clamoring for attention becomes revealed in a new light as a distraction. And this is what is really important. And we begin to see mental states as mental states rather than who we are. I will repeat this because it is really important. We begin to see mental states as mental states rather than who we are. We are not our mental states, because mental states are simply mental states, not who we are. I know it's a shocking experience. Yes. Sometimes the truth is really sort of hard to swallow. Please bear in mind that this is a radical departure from our usual life. Because usually it is something along these lines, like, I am angry, I am fearful, I am hungry, I am this, that, and the other. Because it's always me, 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 me. Guess what? It is not true. You are not that at all. That can be quite an experience. And it's radically different from the way we usually go about things. So let's not take this like this is something really extraordinary. It's quite a revolution. It's an inner revolution, of course. And these mental states, guess what? They come and go. They are not so nice because they do what they want. They don't ask permission for being here, going there, staying, going. They're out of control. Shocking realization. They couldn't care less about what we want. It's really strange when you start seeing it from that point of view. It's, oh wow. This inner world is out of control. Wow. Unsettling. But the training of the practice is, maybe you've already seen these things a few times during the instructions in the morning. We are not just going to follow along or blindly push against the conditions that we are experiencing. But we are developing the ability to stand there and look, and learn and distinguish and discriminate as to what kinds of things we want to support and nourish in our lives, and what kind of things we need to reduce and eventually eliminate and let go of in our own lives. It's really like a mirror, Who would have thought this is going on all the time? And I didn't know about it. And I was possessed by these things. They made me do things without me even realizing it. Shocking, but good news. It can be radically different. You can look, see, and decide. Yes, no, thanks. Enough of this, enough of that. This is nice. More of this, please. That's the practice. So, just to summarize a little bit. Number 1. We usually adopt a meditation object. Rising, falling, sitting, touching. In the beginning, what we are generally trying to do is increase our attention span, which they tell me in daily life is getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. The iPhone age. Much shorter attention span than it used to be. But they tell us that from a mental health point of view, lengthening our own attention span is very good. It's good for our just for our mental health. If you don't get any other benefit from it, anyway, it's really good. Number 2, this is really fun. By lengthening the attention span, better. Lengthening the attention span is something that creates some amount of turmoil in the mind, of agitation in the mind, because the mind is not used to it. Let's clarify a little bit. Number 3. And we begin to notice, because we are practicing, watching, that there is a tendency for the mind to grasp onto some pleasant memory or some pleasant scene or imagined scenario in the future. So thoughts of the past, thoughts of the future, we grasp onto, or we create as a kind of anything. Anything is good enough. Just please, let's not be in the present moment. We just want something to give us just a little bit of comfort. Just enough comfort to get us through the next few seconds. And then we can grasp onto something else. Have you ever noticed? Thoughts don't last for very long, usually. Usually don't stay with just one thought for the next 3 hours. No, of course not. That would become a fantastic meditation object. That would be great. Done, What else do you want? Just look at that, No. Just a few seconds and then let go at another one, grasp onto another one, and onto another one, and onto another one. That's the idea. This is a very deeply ingrained habit of the mind, which we can observe when we do not follow it. We say, thoughts coming and going all the time. Okay? Try and get back to the main object. Mind goes away again. This flow of thoughts and memories and images, and one after the other. But it's okay for them to be there, because the instructions in the practice are, okay, you just notice it, put a label in it, go back to the main object. That's the practice. You train the mind to come back to the present moment. The mind doesn't want to do that. It's really uncomfortable to be there. boring. Mind is just not used to it. It's just, what's there to be seen after all? It's, I mean, so when we are feeling a little bit depressed or down, what does the mind do? We are in retreat, remember that. If there is no means of external escape, like by getting on our smartphones, surfing the net, or actually going surfing somewhere else, real surfing, or buying something, or doing something, or whatever, then we seek to escape internally by trying to bring into the mind some pleasant memory or some present fantasy. We create our own virtual reality. If we can't, on retreat, you cannot talk, you cannot listen to music, you can't go shopping, you can't be surfing the net. What do? I think about something else. The great escape. Number 4. Another habit that we can observe, if we are practicing, of course, is that the mind can very easily just fall into a habit and the tendency to reject and to push away, or to react with anger and indignation. We are there, happily meditating, going well. Mind is quiet. Rising, falling, what's the problem? I really have it together now, it's I mean, not like those beginners, struggling with pains and poor people. I mean, we really have it together now. We're going strong. And then, out of the blue, a strange memory comes into the mind, out of nowhere. Like maybe I was just there, taking the stuff from the table for my own lunch, and that ugly meditator in front of me took that last piece of cheese from me. I mean, that is something really. What kind of people do they take in these retreats? It's just nowadays they just take anybody. It's must be something to do with COVID, probably. So very strange, It's and he did this to me. I mean, that's the problem, It's, somebody else. Who cares? But it was my last piece of cheese. It's, you just do not do that to me. And this sort of very tragic fantasy goes on without me noticing it for the next half an hour. And it comes again and again and again, up to the point where I'm boiling inside. And there is this black smoke coming out of my ears. Is damn. Like, then maybe, just maybe, I remember a sort of an instruction just to let it go and come back to the present moment. But at least half an hour has gone by. And everything was going well, I had it together. Everything was fine. Practice was flowing. Okay. The hard part of the retreat is over. Now we are really flying, it's... and then it just fell apart. I have to start all over again. I mean, this is really disappointing. It's all this work I've done. And it shouldn't have been like this. Guess what you're watching, it's called dukkha. Suffering again. To me. Really disappointing. Really deeply disappointing. I have to ask the teacher. There must be something deeply wrong, it's maybe my childhood, it's something in, when I was a little child. It must be something like that. Some deeply forgotten memory. Jesus Christ, I need at least another minimum 20 years of psychoanalysis to get out of this. At the bare minimum, it's a whole lot of money, by the way. Just to have a sort of just to get the hang of it, it's been a total failure. Even this meditation thing, and I thought I really had it together, it's like, this is the solution, it's the way to go. What a total freaking disaster as usual. I'm really hopeless. It's the end. And it's even worse than that, because I had thought about suicide, but then they are telling me it's not just this one existence. It's really disappointing. It's not even that can fix it. It's really this suffering just goes on. And man, it's like killing myself, like maybe. And how do I want to come back? As an ant or a lizard or mouse or it's how do I get out of this? It's well, maybe I'll just go on practicing. It's so last chance. It's not even suicide can fix this. It's really disappointing. It's like no emergency exit. No, it's like so. So what we are trying to develop in meditation is actually a very important life skill. It is to stand back from the content of the thoughts, no matter what they are, how convincing they seem to be, and see thoughts and emotions as a process. Generally speaking, we are so caught up in the content of what's going on in our own mind that we are blind to the process. We are totally caught up in the story of me. I mean, if it was her, who cares? But it's me. That's another story. Okay. Marcella, okay, but quite frankly, me, it's another thing altogether. We're talking serious stuff here, It's not. I mean, Marcella's problems, of course, it's. And this.
It's even not because I don't eat cheese.
Anyway, well, it's. No. I mean, Marcella's like childhood or relationships or. Of course, I mean, this poor lady doesn't see it as a process, of course. It's just a story. But my own story, I mean, that's my own story. Let's put things clearly, It's Marcella's story is Marcella's story is not my own. It's because, we're talking serious stuff here. Mm-hmm. Seeing the process, and I will end on this high note. Seeing the process is liberating. Being caught in the content is not. That's the gist of it, Yes. You keep watching it and you wake up. It's a process. It's changing all the time. And seeing it like that is the liberating process of meditation. Being caught up in the story, not so. So, that's our own choice. And we learn along the way. And taking things with a little bit of humor does help sometimes. It's just, you can wake up from this tragedy and maybe it becomes a comedy after a while. A very nonsensical comedy. And then maybe you just drop the whole nonsense altogether and just it's really not so necessary. I can be functioning quite well without having to be this main character in this movie. Let's call it a movie, okay? It's just a movie. So that's just about it. I think we can wrap it up for tonight. And we can leave the questions, if there are questions, for tomorrow. We will have quite a bit of time for questions, answers, clarifications, things like that. Is that okay by you?